A legendary mob boss has died. Joseph Bonanno will be remembered as one of the most notorious gangsters in American history.
Imagine a world where power knows no bounds, and where a young man at the age of 26 is able to step into the shoes of a crime lord, forever changing the landscape of organized crime. In today's bite-sized organized crime recap, we'll dig deep into the Italian-American underworld to uncover the story of a fearsome ruler of the Bonanno crime family. This is the narrative of a 20th century crime lord, Joe Bonanno, from his early years in Sicily to the merciless moves that led to his ascent to power in a world controlled by violence and loyalty. Stay tuned as we delve into the world of a man who defied convention and rewrote the rules of power in Mafia Don at 26, Joe Bonanno's long reign revealed. Joseph Charles Bonanno Sr. was born on January 18, 1905 in Castellamare del Golfo, Sicily, into a family with deep roots in the underworld. His father, Salvatore Bonanno, was a gangster and businessman alongside Joseph's uncles, Giuseppe and Stefano Bonanno, who were strong characters in his Sicilian homeland. They were supported by their formidable buddy, Stefano Magaddino, leader of the Magaddino clan. When Joseph was 3 years old, his family relocated to Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where they stayed for a decade before returning back to Italy. In 1915, tragedy struck when his father died of a heart attack. Joseph, being a young man, returned to the United States in 1924 by discreetly boarding a Cuban fishing boat, supposedly to escape Mussolini's mafia crackdowns. When Joseph Bonanno arrived at a train station in Jacksonville, the immigration officers detained him for trying to enter the country illegally. They later released him on $1,000 bail, paid by Magaddino as a favor to Bonanno's uncle Giovanni Bonventre. Bonanno then began his career at his uncle's bakery before enrolling in acting classes near Manhattan's Union Square. Already familiar with crime due to his Italian mafia upbringing, Joseph became involved in bootlegging and even established his own distillery, and his criminal path was shaped by his mentorship under Salvatore Maranzano, a famous boss who took an interest in the young Bonanno. During the chaotic Castellamarese War of 1930 to 1931, Joseph Bonanno and Salvatore Maranzano were pitted in a power struggle against a competing faction led by Joe Masseria and Giuseppe Morello. A hidden gang of younger mafiosi emerged from the chaos, dissatisfied by the Mustache Petes, the older traditional mobsters like Masseria and Maranzano. The Young Turks, or New Blood, featured future mafia luminaries such as Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese, and Frank Costello. Luciano plotted Masseria's demise in secret with Maranzano, ultimately leading to his assassination on April 15, 1931. And this agreement prepared the ground for Luciano to rise to the position of Maranzano's right-hand man. Luciano's goals, however, outweighed Maranzano's approach, leading to the latter's assassination on September 10, 1931. As the dust settled, the young and flexible Bonanno found himself at the helm of Maranzano's family, becoming one of the criminal family's youngest bosses at the age of 26. Bonanno's participation in Maranzano's demise remained a source of contention, however. In his book, he later said he was unaware of Luciano's plans and only learned about them through Magaddino. According to Bonanno, a power struggle in the garment district strained Maranzano and Luciano's relationship. Bonanno chose peace over future struggles with Luciano in order to avert another disastrous gang war. He believed that Luciano wanted autonomy rather than control over all other families, so proposed reconciliation rather than conflict. By rejecting the concept of a single boss of all bosses and instead creating a national commission, Bonanno changed the mafia landscape. This commission empowered each family to administer its own territory, with any problems settled through its jurisdiction. Bonanno then married Faye Labruzzo in 1931, shortly after Maranzano died, and they went on to have 3 children: Salvatore or Bill Bonanno, Catherine, and Joseph Charles Jr. Over the following years, Bonanno's influence stretched beyond the criminal realm, as he obtained property in both New York and Arizona. Outside of crime, Joseph Bonanno founded a number of lawful businesses, including 3 coat manufacturing companies, laundries, cheese suppliers, and even funeral homes. Amongst his holdings was a Brooklyn funeral shop, which was suspected of being a front for the discreet disposal of dead opponents. Rumors circulated that specially made double-decker coffins were used to inter numerous bodies at the same time. Bonanno obtained U.S. citizenship in 1945, but his legal troubles were far from over. Not long after, he was found guilty of breaking wage rules and fined $450. Later in 1957, Bonanno attended some significant organized crime family gatherings, including the Palermo Summit at the Grand Hotel at Des Palms, which many Mafia members attended. Another watershed gathering was Vito Genovese's disastrous Apalachian Conference, held a month later in November 1957. This conference was short-lived, however, as a police probe unexpectedly ended the meeting, resulting in fines and prison sentences for attendees. Though the convictions were eventually reversed on appeal in 1960, Bonanno's health suffered as a result of a heart attack, which prevented him from testifying in the trial. In 1963, Joseph Bonanno allegedly devised an audacious plan to eliminate important opponents on the Mafia Commission, including Tommy Lucchese, Carlo Gambino, and Stefano Magaddino, as well as Frank DeSimone. Bonanno sought the cooperation of Joseph Magliocco, the chief of the Profaci crime family, in order to seize control of the commission, imagining Magliocco as a trusted lieutenant. Magliocco delivered the contract to top hitman Joseph Colombo, who was tasked with the hits on Lucchese and Gambino. Colombo, on the other hand, astutely disclosed the strategy to the targets, unraveling the conspiracy. The commission deduced that Bonanno was the mastermind behind the conspiracy based on his close ties to Magliocco and their common genealogy through marriages. Bonanno and Magliocco were called before the commission to explain their actions. In an unexpected turn of events, Bonanno escaped to Montreal, leaving Magliocco to face the commission alone. Magliocco, scared and feeble, acknowledged his role, sparing his life but forcing him to resign as Profaci family chief in exchange for a $50,000 fine. Colombo emerged as a winner, assuming control of the Profaci family. Bonanno's return to Manhattan in October 1964 was met by an unexpected turn of events. He had been scheduled to testify before a grand jury, but instead vanished. When he reappeared in 1966, he claimed he had been kidnapped, but some law enforcement officers thought he had gone into hiding to evade the consequences of his failed takeover and to avoid appearing before a grand jury. During Bonanno's absence, Gaspar Di Gregorio took command amid family strife. The Mafia Commission named the Bonanno family boss, sparking the Banana War. 4 years of crisis splitting followers to Bill and Di Gregorio. Di Gregorio suggested peace negotiations to Bill in 1966, but the meeting turned violent. Bonanno reappeared in 1966 when Di Gregorio was plagued with attacks and heart problems. The commission's dissatisfaction led to Paul Sciacca gathering support, eventually putting an end to the conflict when Bonanno retired in 1968 and moved to Arizona. A peace treaty called for Bill to resign and both of them to leave New York. In 1980, at the age of 75, Joseph Bonanno faced an unusual conviction. He served a year in prison for obstructing a grand jury investigation into alleged money laundering involving his son's businesses. Surprisingly, Bonanno defied expectations once more in 1983 when he published his autobiography, A Man of Honor, the autobiography of Joseph Bonanno. He rationalized this move by claiming that his book did not violate his sense of honor because he had not become an informant or government witness, therefore not violating his Omerta pledge. The Mafia was not pleased with this decision to publicly discuss his life and career, which was underscored when he appeared on 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace in April 1983. Despite this, Bonanno's status as a civilian permitted him to tell his story freely. During a racketeering trial against 5 family leaders in 1985, Joe Bonanno was questioned about the claims in his autobiography, specifically about the commission. Despite his unwillingness to testify, he was sentenced to 14 months in prison. Joseph Bonanno's odyssey came to an end on May 11, 2002, when he died of heart failure. His life left an unmistakable imprint on the story of the American Mafia's rise, a tale of contradiction and rebellion that defied traditional codes and reverberated across organized crime history.